A brief history of tea and tea leaf reading. The drinking of tea and the reading of tea leaves to divine the future are so intertwined that the history of one cannot be told without the other. Tea leaf reading, also called tasseomancy and tasseography, from the French word tasse, which means cup, is a type of geomancy. Geomancy is the earliest known form of fortune telling and has been practiced since primitive humans first walked on the planet. It is the art of divining the future from natural objects found on the earth, such as sticks, sand, pebbles, and seashells, and the patterns they create under certain conditions, such as being blown by the wind or washed by water. The fact about discovery of tea have never been established for certain, but colorful stories describing its origin abound. According to Chinese mythology, cha or tea was discovered by Shi Nung, the second emperor of China during the legendary era of the three emperors, the son of princess and Tenang, and celestial dragon Shenang, also known as divine healer, was reputed to have ruled from 2737 to 2697 BC. Shenang, who had the head of an ox and the body of a man, was making his supper one night when the leaves of tea plant fell into the water he was boiling. Shenang saw it as an omen and let the tea leaves boil. They produced fragrant brew, which left Shenang exhilarated when he drank it. He was overjoyed with his new discovery and exhorted all his people to drink new beverage. They were captivated by the taste, and tea drinking has flourished ever since. In the 6th century AD, tea drinking was introduced in Japan by Buddhist monks. Zen myth attributes the origin of tea in China to Bodhidharma, an Indian prince and Buddhist saint who traveled to China in the 5th century AD to spread the doctrines of Gautam Buddha. Bodhidharma resolved to keep vigil in front of wall for 9 years. Unfortunately, he fell asleep during one of his meditations and was so mortified that he plucked out his eyelids and threw them on the ground. They immediately took root and grew into tea plants, the leaves of which, when steeped in hot water, banished sleep. From healing brew to priceless social drink, it did not take long for the ancient healers to discover the medicinal qualities of tea, to which they attributed extravagant powers. They used it as a healing drink of varying strengths to cure everything from colds to poor eyesight to alcoholism, and pounded it into the paste to cure rheumatism, bronchial conditions, and minor wounds. Taoist priests even used it as an ingredient in their elixir of immortality. Most ancient healers in China were also psychics. These healer psychics believed that the pattern formed by the tea leaves in the bowl or cup after the patient drank the tea reflected the pattern similar to those existing in the astral plane, which predicted the patient's future and would inform the healer whether the person would live or die. These healers were as adept at reading tea leaves as they were at curing their patients. They zealously guarded their secrets, often only bequeathing them on their deathbeds to a chosen son or daughter. Reverence for tea and its mystical qualities became so great that tea leaves were used to foretell everything from success of emperor's reign to the outcome of battle, from arrangement of marriage to the identity of unborn child. The rudimentary and often idiosyncratic interpretations of tea leaves by those first mystic healers were soon relegated to the past, and tea leaf reading became an art form studied by scholars and psychic alike. As these scholars and psychic practiced the art, they developed the meaning of various symbols and the methods by which we read tea leaves today. Over the years, tea became less of a medicine and more of a social drink. And by the Tang dynasty, tea drinking and tea testing had been raised to an art form. However, it was under the Sung Emperor Kiasung, who reigned from 1101 to 1124 AD, that tea drinking reached its zenith. He held tournaments at which courtiers vied to identify as many different types of tea as possible, with rich prizes being presented to the winner. Tea became more highly prized than land, and generals returning from successful battles would seek their reward in fine tea rather than land. How tea got its name? Tea was first referred to in Chinese legend as cha. It was pronounced cha in Cantonese and te in Amoy dialect. Te became the derivative for English word tea. Cha was the word used in Japan, India, Persia, and Russia. Soldiers returning to England after a tour of duty in India would often refer to tea as cha. It didn't take long before cha was inducted into English slang as char. And millions of English people still refer to tea drinking as having a nice cup of cha. Tea travels the world. Tea is believed to have been first cultivated in Szechuen, China as early as 350 BC. Cultivation then spread along the Yangtze River Valley all the way to East China Sea. By the 7th and 8th centuries AD, China had become the largest empire on earth, and tea was traded regularly with Turkestan, Mongolia, Persia, Siam, Burma, Tibet, Syria, and Arabia. However, it wasn't until near the end of the Ming dynasty, 1368 to 1644 AD. As tea traveled the world during ages, the art of telling fortunes by reading tea leaves traveled with it. Today, the reading of tea leaves can be found wherever the tea is served. From the Greek island, where black shawled grandmothers regularly divine for their families, to the highlands of Scotland, where the locals read tea leaves at breakfast to foretell what kinds of days lies ahead, to the movie stars of Hollywood who pay astronomical fees for reading by their favorite taxiographer, as tea leaf readers are known.